450 people logged into a webinar last week, 90 minutes in. The presenter told them the truth. Only 15 would get a seat in what he was selling. Then he spent the rest of the session trying to convince all 450 of them they wanted in. That's not the strange part. High-ticket programs cap enrollment all the time. Scarcity sells. The strange part is what he was selling them. A framework for using AI to build client-facing systems. Live demos of agents that write proposals, book meetings, scrape leads. A certification, 6-month group coaching, price undisclosed until you get on a call described only as a high 4-figure range. He told the room he spends something like 25,000 euros a month on AI tools himself, and that he works with companies most of us have heard of, on architecture nobody in that room could build alone. So here's the question I couldn't put down after the call ended. If he's already operating at that scale, what does he get out of teaching 450 strangers, 15 of whom will actually enroll, to do a smaller version of his own job? Let me lay out what he actually pitched, because the shape of it matters. He opened with a statistic. 88% of people using AI tools today get no measurable business impact from them. 5% do. The gap, he said, isn't tool access. Everyone has the same tools. It's method. He drew a 5-level pyramid, consuming AI tools at the top, building proprietary models at the bottom, and told the room the money sits in the middle 3 levels, where almost nobody bothers to go. Then free live demos. An agent that books a calendar appointment from a voice memo. An agent that reads a client's past conversations and writes a service proposal in 5 minutes. A system built for a real estate investor that turns a week of manual document review into 2 hours. None of it required writing code, he said more than once, like it was the whole point. Then the numbers about himself. 26,000 euros a month in AI spent. Consulting engagements with recognizable companies. A certification a few weeks from landing. A well-known institute's personal certificate attached to his own coaching program, so graduates walk away with a credential from an organization he doesn't control. And then the offer. 6 months. 15 seats. A price he never said out loud, to be worked out on a call. 5 ready-made automation templates on day 1. Live sessions 5 times a week. Take that at face value for a second, and the question gets sharper, not softer. Why would someone operating at that scale spend 90 minutes trying to recruit 15 people into learning to do a smaller version of what he does? The question only feels like a paradox if you assume the coaching program and the consulting business are the same product at different prices. They are not. And once you stop assuming that, the whole thing gets a lot less mysterious. Look at what the 6 month actually hands someone. Positioning language, a way to talk about what they do that sounds less like I sell hours and more like I sell outcomes. A framework that gives structure to something that otherwise feels like an overwhelming pile of tools. Templates, pre-built automations, they can point at a client's problem on day 1. Confidence. A certificate with a recognizable name on it. All of that is real. None of it is nothing. But look at what it doesn't hand them. It doesn't hand them the relationships that took years to build with the kind of company that can spend 180,000 euros on an architecture engagement. It doesn't hand them the execution speed that comes from a team of 15 people, some of whom have worked in machine learning for 15 years. It doesn't hand them the brand, built out of a background of recognizable firms and corporate venture that got folded back into its parent company. And it definitely doesn't hand them the capacity to operate at that scale, because building that capacity was never a 6-month problem, no matter how good the coaching is. That is the actual mode. None of it is transferable in a group program, no matter how generous the templates are. This is the general version of what I just did, because it applies well past this one webinar. Whenever a business hands something away, cheap, free, generous, ask which layer of the business the giveaway sits at. A business only teaches away what it doesn't depend on. If that's being taught is the framework, the language, the templates, that's usually the cheap layer. The layer that was never actually the scarce resource. The scarce resource is somewhere else, usually somewhere the giveaway can't reach. Watch there the giveaway stops. That's where the real business starts. Now, do the arithmetic, because it's the part that actually answers the question, not just reframes it. 450 people on the call, 15 seats available. That's a 3% conversion rate on a program most sales funnels would consider a catastrophic failure. Nobody builds a funnel that inefficient by accident, and nobody keeps running it if 15 enrollments are the actual return on 90 minutes and 450 attendees worth of attention. So what is the return if it isn't mainly the tuition? It's 450 people who now know a company name sitting inside 450 different jobs, teams and companies. Most will never buy anything, but some of them work inside or advise or will one day run a company that needs exactly the kind of €100,000 AI architecture engagement this person's actual business sells. A webinar is expensive to run and cheap to fill. 450 people hearing your pitch for free is not a cost center if even a handful of them become buyers 2 years from now, in a completely different, much larger deal. It's also 15 future graduates and their stories were already lined up before the pitch was even over. A strategy consultant with a growth number attached. A supply chain manager who went independent. A family business that stopped selling hours by the day. Named specific with real figures. Those aren't just testimonials. They are the marketing collateral for the next webinar and for the enterprise pitch after that. Prove the method works on people with a fraction of the scale the person selling it operates at. And it's a lower risk, more predictable revenue line sitting next to a lumpy relationship-dependent consulting pipeline. Enterprise engagements take months to close and depend on who you know. A cohort of 15 people paying a 4-figure fee closes in a week and depends on nothing but running a good webinar. Put that together and the coaching program isn't competing with the consulting business at all. It's advertising for it, with the added benefit of generating its own proof and its own referral network along the way. The 15 seats were never really the product. The 450 were. I want to be honest that the same question could be asked of me, because it's the same shape. If the diagnostic method I use is teachable, and I do teach parts of it, why would I just publish the whole thing and lose the client? I thought about that more than once. Usually right before a project where the answer feels obvious and I wonder why nobody in the room saw it first. The honest answer is that the method was never the scarce part. I can hand someone the entire structure of how I find the assumption nobody's examined, and it still won't work as well when they run it on their own organization. Because the reason is it works from outside isn't the steps, it's the position. You can't be the outsider to your own belief system, no matter how good the framework is. Somebody inside a company applying the exact process I'd use is still inside the thing they are trying to see clearly. That gap doesn't close because you know the method. It closes because you are standing somewhere else. So the framework was always fine to give away. It was never the mode. And I think that's true almost everywhere this pattern shows up. Not just with me, not just with this one vendor. The teachable part and the valuable part get bundled together so often that people assume giving away one means giving away the other. Usually it doesn't. Usually the giveaway sits exactly at the boundary of what the business can afford to lose. So the paradox I couldn't put down after the webinar wasn't really a paradox. It just looked like one because I was asking the wrong question. Not why would he create competitors, but what layer of his business does this actually touch? Once I asked it that way, the answer was obvious before the call had even ended. That lands Travels, a SaaS company with a generous free tier, an agency that publishes its entire framework on a blog, a consultant who writes a book laying out the whole method. Every one of them looks on the surface like they are giving away the thing that makes them money. Almost none of them are. Check which layer the giveaway sits at before you decide it's generosity, or before you decide it's a threat to whoever is giving it away. Nobody sells you the thing that actually makes them money. They sell you the thing that gets you close enough to see it. That's it for today's episode of Iconoclast Insights. Next time someone hands you something for free that looks like it should cost them, ask which layer of their business it actually touches. I'll see you in the next one.